Hi, and welcome back to our newest episode of the Garfield County Library Podcast. I'm Sarah, this is Rebecca, as you guys know, and today we are talking about The Screaming Staircase in the Lockwood & Co. series by Jonathan Stroud. So I'm going to pass over to Rebecca, because this was your recommendation today. Tell us a little bit about Lockwood & Co.
Yes, so Lockwood & Co. is a juvenile series that takes place in London. It is a group of kids who are fighting against a big problem that is taking over London and the UK. And it is a ghost problem.
Dun, dun, dun.
I love it. I love ghosts. I love everything spooky, scary.
Spooky, scary.
Send me into an exorcism, I thrive.
No, absolutely. So when Rebecca described this to me, she described it as a little bit Sherlock Holmes-esque, and I would agree that this is very Sherlock Holmes. And one of the things I noticed whilst reading the book is when I was first reading it, I kind of pictured it in kind of like a steampunky era until we get to chapter 5, and suddenly one of the characters is watching TV, and I went, wait a minute, and realized this is in a modern era, but it's an alternate history because of the ghost problem.
Yes, so the ghost problem starts 60 years or 50 years between those.
I think it's like 50-ish years before.
Yeah,
50 or 60. I think they say 60 years, and this takes place in, I think, 2010-ish.
2010s-ish, yeah. So it's around that time, and the problem started 60 years ago, which was when the entire problem started. And these two great, notorious, well-known ghost fighters, known as Marissa Fitz and Mr. Rockwell, I do not remember his first name, but they are the first people to deal with this problem. They're mentioned scarcely throughout the first book, but they are not our main characters. Our main characters are Lucy Carlisle, Anthony Lockwood, and George Cubbins.
Yes.
George is my favorite.
Dear George.
I love George.
Sure, Rebecca told me before I read the book, so I had not read this series beforehand, Rebecca had, and she told me George was her favorite character, so I start reading and I'm like, God, this George kid, I don't understand, until you get later on in the book, and I realized George is by far the funniest character.
He's our comedic relief guy who really just kind of brings this team together. And I think in the second book, you haven't read there,
yes.
But you really kind of get to see how important he is to the team. And he's really important throughout the entire series, but like you gain this appreciation for this character and like how well without him, you would not have Lockwood & Co.
Absolutely.
You would not, yeah.
And that coming to the point of kind of why we're talking about this book today, something that I was perhaps not surprised by, but once again affirmed in, juvenile literature is absolutely valid literature, and everyone should be reading it, not just kids.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep talking about Lockwood & Co. a little bit, talking about this wonderful series and some of the great things that are great for all ages, before we start talking a bit more about different kinds of juvenile literature and why everyone should be reading it.
Yeah.
So coming back into the book, you have this strong start off where we get to meet Lucy, who I would argue is arguably the main character.
Yes.
She's coming off of an old job as a ghost hunter. She's 13, 14?
She's 14, I think.
14.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
In this world, the only people who can actually see the ghosts are young folk. So in this universe, kids kind of lose their childhood a little bit and they start working real young, particularly if they have, I believe it's called the talent.
Yes.
To be able to be sensitive to the way that ghosts speak, to be able to see them, things of that nature. So you get this really weird mixture of childhood independence mixed with still kid-like behavior.
Yeah, and to be more specific with the talents, so there are, I think, 2 different talents, and they have their variations of it. So the specific talent that Lucy, our main character, has is listening. So she can listen to ghosts. She can listen to the past when she touches an object or like where the person died. And then there's also sight. So sight would be looking at, I think they call them, oh my gosh.
I think they're called ghost trails.
Ghost trails, yeah, ghost trails and they're ghost trails because Lockwood has that power where he can.
Has the sight. Yes.
Yeah, he has the sight, so he can see where the person died and see like where everything happened, like leading up to the death. So, and I think it's really cool. But they all can see the ghosts.
Yes, they all can see them, but Lockwood is good about seeing everything, whereas Lucy can both tune into what they're saying and also kind of get empathetic recollections of the
Yes.
dead, which brings us to Dear George, who can technically do both of those things, but he's not nearly as talented in those things. George is the researcher.
Yes.
He's the one that goes out before the missions, goes to the library, and does all of the digging on the people that they're interviewing, which ends up saving their butts tremendously at the end of the book.
Yeah, because he gets the whole story. He gets the story of like, where they die, where did they start, who were the people involved, and that's the very most important thing with this thing is with their company is finding the source. The source is really what gets them into seeing like to capturing the ghost, basically.
Yes. So the way that ghost hunting happens in this book is, while it can happen for a variety of reasons, typically ghosts linger after a traumatic event.
Yes.
And that trauma will be linked to one item. So they'll go into a location, investigate the area, find the ghost trails, find different, like they take temperatures and things like that. They notice different breezes and things. There's lots of things they're looking for. But once they find the source, they neutralize it so the ghost can, in fact, move beyond. And for a children's book, they cover some pretty heavy issues within the novel. There's reference to, trigger warning here, there's reference to suicide within the book, there's reference to murder, there's reference to problematic relationships. Despite all of these things, it's covered in a very, I would say, tasteful way, in a very respectful way, that I think is really good exposure for kids to kind of see some of the darker sides of the world. And I would argue, this is not really a horror novel. I would maybe put it more in thriller or mystery, but it still does cover some of these heavier topics in a very accessible way.
Yeah, it's very lighthearted. It's not anything like, it's something you would find in more adult fiction where it's like, it's going to be more, this person was, you know, very gruesome. It's not gruesome at all. It gives you just the like, this happened.
Little taster.
Yeah, just like, oh, he killed himself. That's it. And then move on.
As an example, like at one point near the beginning of the book, they're doing more of a minor case, and they find a man who had hung himself in a tree, I think because his wife had left him. But it was just a very brief, like, I think that was the description of it. And they kind of left it at that of like, oh, that's a tragedy, and they frame it as that, versus describing all of the details and going really gruesome into it. So in that sense, I feel like it covers these very deep issues without having to go above and beyond like you see in a lot of adult fiction. Not to say that's necessarily a bad thing, but to me, it's obviously more accessible for children, but also more accessible for adults who might be sensitive to these subjects.
100%.
And one of the things I love the most about this book is how the kids actually react to these heavy things. One of my favorite things in the world that is a motif throughout the entirety of the book is when you're hunting ghosts, one of the things that happens to you is, I can't remember what they call it, but essentially you get the downs. Like, what's the point of being here? Everything sucks. We should just go home. We should just give up. And the way that they battle this is by making themselves tea.
So there's miasma, there's ghost lock, which is actually
ghost lock, that's what I was referring to.
Ghost lock is really dangerous, especially if you get ghost touched. Ghost touches is where you basically do pass away from being touched by a ghost. Like your body goes into a shock, a trauma, basically. It's just a big trauma to your body, and you're just like, gone. And then, but yeah, it's very, I think it's, here's my thing. I think death is something that, as a society, we kind of like
avoid talking about.
And with children, it's really hard to bring up that topic. And I think this is a good way of like taking a twist with it. I wouldn't say it's good for somebody who's mourning. I don't think.
Maybe not this book if you're in a period of mourning.
But understanding death and just kind of like, it happens. It's a part of our lives, and it's something that we kind of have to deal with. I mean, within the Hispanic culture, Mexicans specifically, Day of the Dead is kind of just this acceptance that death happens, but it's not the ending of your life. And in this book, it's kind of the same thing of like, death happens, but you still linger in a dangerous sense, which kind of gives it this like, this adventure to it. It's like, oh, and in a sense, it's kind of therapeutic for people who have dealt with death. It's thinking of like, it's an adventure. It's not as deep and mournful and heart-wrenching as it should be, but rather seeing it as like, this is a continuation, and it's affecting us so much more than than it being sad.
And one of the things bouncing off of that is something that's present within the book is our main character, Lucy. There are like 3 or 4 cases that are happening within the book that all end up kind of intermingling at the end. But one of them is the case of a murdered woman who was essentially shoved into a cabinet by an ex-lover who was jealous.
Yes.
And throughout the entirety of the book, Lucy holds on to this necklace of hers because she is insistent that she's going to figure out what actually happened to this woman and bring her soul justice, which I would say, without giving too many spoilers, they've resolved pretty well by the end.
Yeah, and it's really, again, it's really nice to know that it's kind of like resolving this for somebody, finishing their work. Because as sad as it is, death can come at any time, and sometimes you don't finish that work, and it's up to the people who continue for you to continue that work. You trust that they'll continue it, you know?
Absolutely.
In some cases, yeah.
But going back to how they handle it, so they take times where they prep their materials to make sure they stay safe, but they also mentally prepare. They try to make sure that they're not angry with each other or frustrated with themselves. They make sure to take breaks and drink a warm cup of tea because there's nothing more calming than that. They have lavender smoke that also helps banish the ghosts in the towns. And it's kind of this beautiful way of, or to me, like a metaphor of fending off kind of the darker parts of grief and finding community instead.
Yeah, I think it's regulation within your emotions.
Absolutely.
Regulating yourself with having a routine. I think a great way of regulation is having a routine, and they really do that so well with just preparing everything. And one thing that I think that we should mention is these kids fight with rapiers. So that's basically a sword, yeah. And it's the sword that you would use in fencing most traditionally, but it's not just in fencing. But it's really cool because they're fighting ghosts with these swords, and they're just like, ah! And they have techniques, and these kids are well trained. They're well trained in like combat, and and I think there's one part in this book where they do get into combat with somebody, and it's really interesting to see them going against an adult. And it's really just going back to the fact that these kids are trained and are a little bit more adult than you would think to be, and it's just to remind, and we've talked about this, is the reminder that kids aren't always just going to be kids. They have, like, you shouldn't baby a child. You should child a child. Like, give them that kind of space.
It really encourages young autonomy, because in the setting of this world, quite frankly, the fate and the safety of all of the adults rest on the shoulder of kids, which I would argue is maybe a little bit too much responsibility on young minds.
Yeah.
But what this book does a really good job of showing is how kids really can handle that responsibility and how they can be independent and how they can handle these things. The combat you're referring to is about halfway through the book when their home base gets robbed and they find the burglar and they chase him out of the house, essentially.
Yeah. There is another combat scene at the very end.
Well, they don't actually fight him, remember, because of, I guess, spoilers ahead.
Spoiler.
They get held at gunpoint by a gentleman who has essentially, he sent them into a death trap, which they successfully negated. But he still knows that they have the clue that he's actually the murderer of this woman from earlier in the book. But they can't fight against guns. They have no aspect to do that. So they end up just kind of waiting for their time. And while one of the gentlemen is distracted because George is cracking off jokes, Lucy unveils this necklace she had that's connected to that original ghost, and the ghost herself gets to have that vengeance on the gentleman.
Yes.
So
Okay, I'm confusing it with the second book because the second book there is a moment when they do fight an adult. Yes. And it's I think that's the greatest thing about the series is just the fact that they have so many of these moments where you think it's an adult fighting an adult, but really it's just a young teen fighting an adult, and it's like, you gotta give them the recognition. You gotta give them that like, wow, good job. Even as a kid.
This book does a really good job of modeling emotional intelligence, modeling independence, modeling self-sufficiency, and at the end of the day, it's also just a really enjoyable story. As I've mentioned several times, George is just super witty. And Lucy is an incredibly relatable character who strives to do the best in everything she does and has guilt from her past, but still strives to move forward. And Lockwood tries to maintain this sense of like happy air, even though he's very clearly struggling under the weight of maintaining a business and making sure it doesn't crumble. But there's one line from the end of the book that really hits hard for me in terms of like the emotional intelligence in this book. It's at the very end. It's one of the last chapters. Lockwood and Lucy are sitting in their house celebrating with ginger ale and donuts.
Yeah.
And George goes downstairs to grab more donuts, and Lucy kind of reveals her guilt about the past where a bunch of her teammates had died because she didn't trust her instincts. And Lockwood says to her, "Listen, Luce, you followed your instincts perfectly at Combe Carey, the last place they were at, and because of that we all survived." He smiled at me. "I trust your talent and your judgment, and I'm very proud to have you on my team, okay? So stop worrying about the past. The past is for ghosts. We have all done things we regret. It's what's ahead of us that counts, right?"
Yeah, and these kids are just as wise as any adult, and I think it's another thing that people have to keep in mind. Kids are probably going to be smarter than some adults, you know? They're going to have a little bit more of an perspective of things. But one thing I also wanted to talk about was Lucy is very, very talented. We don't realize that until like after they get robbed. You know,
and it's alluded to in a little bit earlier than that. They go to Deepak before they get robbed. And one of the things that's a rare talent in the Ghostlands is having that intuitive part I mentioned earlier about not just hearing them, but also being able to sense into the emotions. That's a lot rarer for ghost hunters.
Yeah.
And the essential police force in this realizes Lucy has this and tries to do it on one of the people they're suspected of in this murder beforehand. I'll let you go from there because you know a bit more because you've read the later books.
Yeah, so Lucy is very talented. She gets her talents. You also kind of find out more about Lockwood later on, and then from the room that he has hidden.
I see.
Which is very emotional to me. It's very like, when I listened to that part, because I do the audiobooks. I love audiobooks. But when you get to that part, I cried a little bit because it's like, oh my God, you don't realize how like the pain. And when Lucy does something very, very, very messed up in book 3, where she kind of oversteps in Lockwood's privacy. And it's not intentional, but nonetheless, she put herself in that situation. And I'm like, why did you do that to poor Lockwood? And you kind of understand the depth of Lockwood. You don't see a lot of it. You see very like little bits in this first book, but you do see a lot more of him like that. And it's just giving depth to these kids that, just like any adult, just like anybody else, these kids are going to be going through situations that nobody else is going to understand. And they're going to be having that kind of emotional dysregulation in their lives. And this job is the only thing that can really regulate them. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And one thing that I do need to mention.
Yeah.
Because this is really, really important.
Yes.
So Lockwood & Co. it's an independent company. And those people that I mentioned in the beginning, Marissa Fitz and Rotwell.
Yeah.
So Rotwell is a company that's big. It's like, it would be like the Amazon of the world. Yeah. And the Fitz company is just as much the same thing. So it's like rivals Amazon and Walmart, 2 different rivals right there. But nonetheless, they do work very well together. And all these missions are run by adults sending the kids out. The unique thing about Lockwood & Co. is the fact that it's run by a kid and worked by kids. So there are no adults involved in this situation at all, which is what makes them really unique. And it gives them that autonomy of doing whatever they want and not feeling like they have to hold back and go by the rules. They make their own rules, and they're smart enough to get out of the situation without being harmed.
No, absolutely. Coming back to it again, this book really models self-autonomy, emotional regulation, and quite frankly, the fact that you can achieve the things you put your mind to. And moving away from Jonathan Stroud, The Screaming Staircase, into juvenile fiction in general, even though I'm still going to talk about the book a little bit.
Yeah.
The wonders of this book is it's a really good mystery. It's not something where the mystery is easily solvable. Like, there was a couple of twists that happened in the book that surprised me. And that's just in book 1. The humor is great. The characters are relatable. And I think there are so many books in juvenile literature that end up getting pushed to the side because it's just for kids.
Yeah.
But so many stories in juvenile literature have such important meanings. Again, the screaming staircase, for all of the reasons we discussed before, is really good for modeling for kids, but it's also, I would argue, good for adults. And I would say this probably lands in either late elementary, early middle school in terms of reading level. But there are plenty of other juvenile novels that fall in the same category. I mean, Harry Potter completely revolutionized the YA genre, even though that's once again middle grade. Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series is incredibly popular, is an entrance to Greek mythology for a lot of kids, and also once again models this independence for kids and this emotional regulation.
There's a series of unfortunate events.
Oh yes, which talks about dealing with trauma and horror and things of that nature.
Yes, there's the Hunter series.
The Hunter series, I don't know if, wait, that's the cats, right?
The cats, yeah.
Warrior cats.
Warrior cats, yeah. Yes. And there's so many books within the juvenile series that honestly, the main characters are kids, but they face adult situations, you know? And I think if there's somebody who wants to read something a little bit more like, not as gruesome, not as, you know, like James Patterson, you're gonna get some gruesome stuff.
Yes.
Riley, why am I blanking on their name? They basically wrote The House Across the Lake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're very gruesome, they're very like, you know.
Gritty, very true to reality in an unfortunate way. Whereas kids literature manages to
erase
literature.
Yeah.
It manages to address these same issues and these same problems, but in a far more tasteful way.
Yeah, and you don't have to feel very much pressured into following, especially for people who are not into the romance aspect of like, of like certain fiction books, like thrillers still having that romance aspect.
Yeah.
Like Lockwood and Co. probably has like a very settled romance happening, and it's gonna be spoiler between Lockwood and Lucy.
And you kind of get little glimpses of that, at least in book one. But that being said, the romance being they have a couple of shared glances.
Yeah, and I think that's like the most like, oh, but it doesn't take over the entire story and make it a, well, they don't they. It's more of the thrill is happening. And yeah, they like each other, but they have to focus on the job. And it kind of is just like, it's tame, and it's really good for somebody who's not looking for something that too intense and kind of wants that lightheartedness to certain aspects. Because I think a lot of adult fiction is really too hard on your emotions sometimes. And I understand that some people really do like that kind of like intenseness the entire time. But there are people who really do like having like a light read, but still have some kind of aspect where you're just like, it's a page turner.
Some substance to it.
Yeah, some substance where you're just like, I need to read this. I need to move on to the next page. Because this book really is, a lot of the time you're reading it and you're like, oh my God. Oh my God. You're turning the page and it's a different situation right after that. And it's just, it has you hooked. But it's not anything where it's too heavy for your emotional, you know, your own emotional regulation as well. Yeah. It's a lot more down to the heart, I think what I would say. It's more of a heartfelt story that still has that thriller.
And to be clear, we're bashing on adult fiction a lot. Yeah. We both read a lot of adult fiction and love it.
The adult fiction is still something I love to read. It'll be on my bookshelves forever and ever. But I have a special love for children's literature because that's where I started. That's where a lot of us started.
Where a lot of us started. And the reason we fell in love with books is because of juvenile literature.
Yes.
And I think we tend to forget that the juvenile literature that we grew up reading is still great literature. So I suppose that if there is a message in all of this is that go read children's literature.
Yeah. There's no problem with it. I think it's one of the recommended ones that I would always do, you know?
No, absolutely. There are so many wonderful books to read. I would seriously recommend Lockwood and Co. I'm going to be reading the rest of the series after the podcast because it has me hooked. There are a lot of mysteries that don't surprise me, and this one genuinely did.
Yes.
And again, the characters are believable and lovable, but beyond just the thriller of nature of it, obviously when we're talking about adult fiction, it almost feels like they get so wrapped up in the nitty-gritty details of the harshness that the plot doesn't shine through.
Yes.
And you see that in both thrillers and juvenile, also in fantasy, such as books like Fablehaven or The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan, if you want Egyptology, amongst so many more that really tell compelling stories without having to use the gruesome nature of it to hit.
Yeah, and it doesn't all have to. I feel like kids' books aren't as angsty as teen books.
Yes.
And teen books have that angst, and I do like that. Yeah. I'm somebody who still likes the angst. That's why I talked about how I would be kind of that still angsty adult, because I am angsty, as much as I don't like saying that. But with kids books, it takes out that angstiness, but it still gives that realness to the problem that they're having.
Absolutely.
You know, because angstiness kind of holds you back from moving forward.
And I mean, we talked about the Hunger Games, and Katniss is one angsty character.
She's angsty, but I love her. She's my favorite.
Young adult literature has its place as well in terms of emotional growth and development. But if you're looking for a story that really hits on the elements of what you would want, emotional growth, interesting storytelling, but without some of the grittier, heavy emotions that is present in YA or adult fiction, I really recommend juvenile fiction.
Yeah, and then one thing I think I should mention is the fact that there isn't a lot of coming of age books that are for adults anymore, because I feel like there's this weird narrative with being an adult that you can't have a coming of age anymore. It's like
you figured it out.
Yeah, it's like you're done, you did everything. It's like, no, you have a coming of age every moment of your life. Every situation that you come out a different person, that's a coming of age. Like just because you're not turning 15 or 13 or 18 anymore, then it doesn't mean that you're not having that realization of a new awakening, a new moment in your life. And coming of age happens at any moment in your life.
You know, the transition of change is difficult for anybody.
Yeah.
And some of those same morals that we're learning in coming of age novels, or as kids are experiencing their autonomy in these juvenile literature, it's still the same knowledge that you need in going through grief, or going through a major career change, or moving cities, or all of those things still apply.
They still apply, and I feel like sometimes adult books do miss out on that. And I think that even if it's a kid's story, you can still relate in the sense of like, my God, I went through this as a kid. How could I have persevered at a younger age? And I cannot persevere at this age, this old age that I'm at. But nonetheless, I think it's perseverance really that really shines through these books a lot. And I think that's what a lot of adults need in their lives, is that reminder that perseverance and dedication are just something that you kind of have to regulate within yourself. And as much as we don't get it in regular fiction, we get it in nonfiction, but not everybody's a nonfiction reader. You kind of want to bring it back with where you started it, which is kind of a wholesome message, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But any concluding thoughts about juvenile fiction or Lockwood & Co. specifically?
My God, Lockwood & Co. is what I recommend to everybody, kids, teens, adults. I've told my parents to read it. I've told my boyfriend to read it. I've told everybody in my life, I'm like, you need to read this book. I know people are very skeptical about Harry Potter, because some people are like, that's for nerds. That's what was said to me as a kid. They said, Harry Potter's for nerds. And I said, you're wild for thinking that. Because it's not. Reading is so great, and it's not a nerdy thing to do. And if you don't want to go into the nerdy basic stuff, go into Lockwood & Co. Start reading it. Tell me what you think. Send it to every email that I have. rrubio@gcpld. You send me your recommendations of what you think. Well, not recommendations. Your thoughts on Lockwood & Co. And then I will get back to you.
And if I were to talk about the Streaming Staircase, I would obviously recommend it. The way I would describe it is, imagine if Sherlock Holmes was 13, and
he had really good friends.
And he had really great friends, and he started his emotional development a lot sooner, so he's a lot more understandable. But Lockwood is this genius character. But no, if you like mysteries, if you like Sherlock Holmes, if you like the spooky paranormal, this is a book for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Oh, I loved it. I loved it so much, Sarah.
Yes.
I loved it so much.
I truly loved it too. And
I'm on the last book right now.
I'm glad you encouraged me to read it, even though I am, in fact, getting my karma out to you for the next podcast.
It's fun.
We're going to be reading some weird adult fiction for,
It's gonna be fun. It's
for
gonna be
the
fun.
next podcast.
And this is my early birthday gift to Sarah, is letting them choose what they wanted to read for that month. So.
Yes, so we're going to be reading eccentric fiction for the next month. But thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be moving on to our next section where we interview a couple of our library specialists.
Yeah. Hi guys, welcome back to the second segment of our podcast. This is the interview section where we have two special guests this time, and it's both Jess and Renna. Yeah, the reason why we're doing this interview is we thought this would be great to let you guys see what our entry-level librarians are like, as well as two different spectrums of what our libraries are, which Renna comes from a smaller branch and Jess comes from a larger branch. Sarah and I are actually from a larger branch, but we feel like we don't want to be biased. So we've got two different people who can talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our questions for the day. So obviously our lovely Rebecca introduced you guys by names, but if you guys could both introduce yourselves and tell us what you guys do at the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm Renna. I work at the Parachute Branch Library, and I am the teen associate there.
Amazing.
Nice.
And I am Jess. I work at the Carbondale branch, where I've taken on the term tween associate, but that is technically not the official name. So I just add it to my email signature until it catches on.
Yeah. Yeah. Since you guys did introduce yourselves and tell us your roles, what made you guys want to work in libraries, and how did you end up right here in GCPLD? Yeah.
So, I came from food and beverage, which is very different than library work.
Yeah.
But that job is not very fulfilling. So I was over it. Saw the ad for the position and was like, why not? And love it. So,
Yeah, so my background's in journalism. So I started there, and that's how I was able to move out to this area. I'm originally from the Midwest. And after that, I kind of bounced around to other marketing jobs, which also were not that fulfilling or not like hitting my stride, I feel like. And it was between positions when I started coming to the Glenwood Branch Library and reading more and just being like, oh, this is kind of a cool place. And having grown up in libraries, I was like, I signed up for the newsletter for job positions. So
There you go.
in my initial interview, I was like, well, I was on the newsletter. And they're like, oh, so you came to us. And I was like, no, kind of. Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Lovely. I'm going to ask you guys a hard question because, as we all know, this is kind of impossible to answer. But what does a typical day look like for you guys?
you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so you get into the library, and depending on what time you're there, you're either helping open or, catching up on what's already happened that day, checking in with the other coworkers. There's, I guess like paging, which is picking up books that people have placed on hold. That's like one of the opening tasks. Literally unlocking the doors is an opening task.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're going from that like first start of the day, you kind of just sit tight and wait till the patrons come in, and then there's various programs that could happen. But that's depending on the day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass it over to you. I'm like,
That's the gist of it. We also have courier, internal and external. So that's just bringing books in from different libraries for our patrons at our library.
Yeah.
I know from Parachute standpoint, we have a lot of books that come in on courier, so that's
Absolutely.
usually a huge task.
Same for us in Glenwood. So in summary, the average day looks like manning the desk, checking in and out books, and occasionally for teen specialists running programs.
Yes.
And I think also we can add to this is the fact that you kind of have to be prepared for any kind of situation at the desk. Yeah. I think as associates we have to be like we're more front-facing than any other of the other people are. So like
the positions.
your ASCs, your YSCs, and your branch manager, assistant branch manager, they're usually going to be a little bit more behind the scenes, getting programs ready, and then we're all going to be more front-facing and being like, hi, at the desk. So we're the people that you're going to see at the desk.
That's right.
Yeah.
I suppose I would add into those roles addressing patron requests of many varieties, which makes it difficult to answer what a typical day looks like.
Correct.
Yeah, because you never know when anybody's going to come up to you and ask. It's really an interesting job. It really
Keeps
is.
you on your toes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Okay, and then what's something people might be surprised to learn about our job?
I think a common misconception is that we're reading all the time.
Oh, you don't read all the time?
And I was like, I do. Oh, big branch or small branch. But yeah, people are like, wait, you're not allowed to just read, just at the desk or wherever. And it's like, no, because we're talking to people. But another misconception I think would be, you know, when you're at the computer, sometimes patrons will come up and be like, oh, I'm so sorry to bother you. I'm like, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. And it's like, this is my job. It's like, I'm here to help you. So you're not interrupting anything.
If anything, I'm interrupting you.
Right.
Like, you saw me working, that's my bad. Sorry. Let me. Yeah. Yeah.
I think a common misconception is that we know everything.
Oh, yeah.
Which I love having people come up to me and think that I have all the answers, but I'm like, I don't. However, I can show you how to find those answers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know.
No, I 1,000%.
Yeah.
There's I'm not sure where the stereotype comes from that librarians have answers to everything, but I mean, admittedly, we do have access to a lot of resources, so I guess they're kind of correct.
Exactly, yeah. Just give me like 5 minutes and I can probably figure it out for you.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah, it's like, give me the time. I'll put it into Google real quick for both of us, and then I'll check our resources. That's how I like to do it, because I like to narrow it a bit more easier. But no, yeah, I feel like people think that it's so easy for us to find. I'm like, no, hold on, honey, we're both learning here. Take my hand, we're gonna go to it together. Yeah, it's like you have to walk with them too.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like, we're going through this together.
Yes.
That's right.
Speaking of the public, what's your favorite part about working with the public?
Just the like random interactions you have with different people, what good or bad. Because you know, there's obviously both, but I mean, it's fun. Yeah, it makes the day interesting.
100%. Yeah.
As previously mentioned, variety.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. It's hard to be bored in that position. And I think when you start building connections, or when patrons begin to like recognize you, or it's like, oh, like, you're here. Or sometimes it's like, are you always here? And it's like, kind of. Like,
It's like,
right.
I love that we're both on the same schedule, but yeah.
Yeah, so kind of being able to chat or like following up about certain things.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it makes it feel like the relationship building aspect is really nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It really is kind of a way of building community, which is like really what GCPLD is about, is just making community. And so it's nice to know that we're trusted, having people come in and being like, hey, how are you? I'm like, oh my God, you're back. Nice. You're here for your hold. I saw it come in. Yeah, like I love doing that.
And I feel like they get so excited when you recognize them and they're like, oh, you know which book I have?
Yeah. It's like, I put it for you last week, honey. Don't worry, I got you. Yeah. She's like, let me open up Sierra and we'll get it checked out to you.
On that same note, I love seeing patrons get excited when you do find the resource they're looking for. Like if there's a book they've really been looking forward to, or they're like researching something for cooking and you finally get that book in, and there's definitely a sense of fulfillment.
Honestly, I get excited when I see like a patron's book come in Courier that they've been excited for.
Right.
I'm like, oh, they finally have it. Like, yay.
Right.
Yeah, he's just like, oh my God, she was waiting all week and this person had it on hold. Finally, her book club is going to be exciting. Yeah.
There you go.
Let me see. Here's a different question, a little bit relating to the other one, but what is a misconception about libraries overall? Not like about us, but libraries overall.
I would say that well, and this might be different for smaller branches, but libraries are not quiet spaces anymore.
No,
Yes.
ours is not quiet.
Okay, there you go. So across the board, they are, you can make noise, you can breathe in a library. Don't worry.
You don't have to whisper every time.
No, when patrons whisper to me at the desk, I whisper back, and it feels like a bit because I'm like. But I don't know. They're for everyone, right? So there's going to be little kids who are probably louder than adults who are trying to work, but everyone, and finding that right balance where it's like not overly disruptive, but still we can all be in the same shared space.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're a meeting hub for the community.
Yes.
You know, so whether we're doing programs or just, you know, people coming in and using our study rooms and spaces, I mean, we get a lot of people in there and it gets a little loud. So
Yeah, we're not
Honestly,
just
I love
books
it.
anymore.
yeah, we're not just books.
We are in fact no longer just books, we are a lot of things.
We're
We
so
are.
many things. Yeah. So many resources. Remember that, guys. Resource page. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I also think like at least for smaller like Parachute, we have a lot of patrons that come in out of necessity.
Absolutely.
We're the only place that does printing, faxing, you know, those kind of stuff. So we see a lot of patrons that need help with those items.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The library being a community center, not just, excuse me, in terms of noise, but also just in terms of access to resources. So, such as internet access or printing, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Wi-Fi, hotspots.
Hotspots, laptops, all of those things.
Yeah.
In the summer we have AC, but the AC system is really big. I mean, people just want to get out of the sun, and one of the public places where you can get out of the sun is going to be a library. You can't go to the park; you're going to get sunburnt. So it's like, and then I think people kind of recognize that it's more of just a place of gathering than rather it being, hey, you have to check out a book and read. If you're not, get out of here. It's like, no, you can use our computers. You can have a moment, sit here, cool down. You need to leave. It's fine. It's a library. It's public access. It's all free.
See, that's another thing. People think library cards cost money.
Yes.
They're like, how much does it cost to sign up for a library card? It's like,
totally
well, well, you did pay taxes, maybe, but
You're right. Yeah.
Right, yeah. You already paid for it.
You already paid.
Yeah,
I
technically.
might as well use the resources.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're already paying for it. May as well just go for it. That's all free.
And there will be people who come in and they're like, is it okay if I stay here and use your Wi-Fi? And it's like, yes. And you don't have to ask me, but thanks for talking to me.
Like, things are coming up.
Come hang out, you know, or then they're like, well, I'm gonna leave. And I'm like, that's okay too. But I might come back. Okay, great.
It's like, you do you, honey. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
We'll still be here.
Yeah, we're gonna. You'll see me here. I'm here till 5. Don't worry about it. You'll see me smiling here at the desk. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I think the library cards costing money kind of goes hand in hand with the fines.
Oh, yeah.
Because also with overdue books, people have a lot of like internalized shame, it seems.
Yes.
Or even I've had family members back home be like, well, I have this thing that's really overdue, so I can never go to my library again. And it's like, no.
Please come.
Please come back.
It's like, honey, they can work something out with you. Which, I mean, GCPLD, we have a really good system of you return it, you don't have to owe anything, which I love that. And that's, I think, across other Colorado libraries, because that is...
I don't think it's everywhere, but I think particularly after COVID, a lot of libraries ended up adapting that policy just because we don't want fines to be a discouraging element for people to be actually coming into the library. So unless you just never return a book, or if your dog eats your book, which does in fact happen, we're not going to charge you for a book.
The amount of times I've had books turned in and they have just like the biggest bite marks ever, I'm just like, don't worry about it. I see them every day. And they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, honey, I'm gonna hold your hand while I say this. It's normal. Dogs are gonna be dogs. And we're not gonna shame you for it. Be like, get out of here. No.
We had a patron that had a bird eat a book one time. I kid you not.
A pet bird?
A pet bird. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, a wild bird?
She's at the park. No.
A pigeon.
Yeah,
Just coming.
so, you know, we're very understanding. We
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. And it happens, and we want you to come back, even if it happened to you.
One of my favorite stories is my first week working here. I had checked out a book and I had to go down to Denver for some reason and had my water bottle and a book sitting on the passenger seat. And I get down to Denver, water bottle spilled all over the book. So even librarians damage books sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. And we always have late books too. I have books that I probably should have turned in last month. Have I? I have not. It's renewed. But I'm already at my limits with my reviews, so it's okay. Like it's a human thing. We can't judge everybody and like be like, no, it's a free pass for us because we're librarians. No, we get it. Everybody gets a free pass.
This is kind of an adjacent question to what we've been talking about, but if there's one thing about working in the library that you wish the public would know, what would that be?
We're just here to help.
Yeah.
Whatever your situation may be, we're going to try and
Help you as best
help you figure it out.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one, and I think would be like encouraging patrons to come up and request things,
Oh,
or if it's
absolutely.
like, I have this idea, or I like really wish someone in town was doing this, and it's like, if you tell us stuff, we're gonna
We'll make it
go
happen.
back and think about, you're right, see if we can make it work, and wanting to help and fulfill needs. So like that's a great way to get ideas for programming.
100%. Yeah. I think that's one thing that people kind of miss out is the fact that they can come into the library and ask us for anything.
Yeah.
Because it's like we said, it's your taxpayers' money. You get to do whatever you want with whatever we're doing for you. We're public service. We're here to help.
Yeah.
Yes.
That really ties in your guys', yeah.
And it's not to say that we can help with absolutely everything, but we have a lot of resources. We have so many resources.
Yeah, we have
Both-
partners.
Yes, and we have library partners as well. There are not many things we can at least point you in a right direction for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, we want to help and we're gonna try.
Yeah, absolutely.
A big part of it.
We're the physical manifestation of Google. Literally. Just a little bit more friendlier and a little bit more like, you don't have to deal with like asking a proper question to get a proper answer.
user-friendly.
Yeah, we're user friendly. Yeah, we're
User-friendly.
Yeah, our UI system is really great. Yeah, but yeah.
Absolutely.
And then our next question, and this goes about more with your guys' positions. So, how do you set the tone for patron services? So, like, how do you guys kind of like make that a little bit more of a rounded out role of your guys' positions?
Yes. How do you approach customer service, I guess, is another way to put it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Always meet them with kindness, you know. I feel like that's kind of the biggest thing with customer service. If you don't kind of start off on a good foot, it just kind of goes downhill fast.
there,
So, you know, smile, greet them, ask them if they need help with anything. If they don't, then just let them be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree, and I think trying to expect, or trying to assume the best in people instead of the other way is something good to do. And saying hi in the vein of teen and tween services, saying hi to like the kids who are maybe sort of blowing you off, but it's just like, hey, welcome in, and that does start to make a difference and help build those relationships.
Yeah,
or you know, learning names is a big one too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like
Yeah,
even
calling
saying bye. Yeah,
teens out by names, they love that.
Yeah.
They're like, you remember me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like, hey, what's up? So and so, and
yeah. They might not remember your name,
And that's
but
all
if
right.
you remember their name,
Right?
it goes a long way.
Yeah. You want to make sure that you have that kind of personal connection with them. Not, you know, because we have to have a certain kind of line between personal and professional.
Yes.
But I think that we have such a good way of doing that, of like being nice to them, but being there for them in a sense of like, we're here for you, even if it's a little bit more of in a personal tone, just for the fact that we are a public service. We are trying to make it as best as we can for you guys.
Absolutely. What keeps you guys passionate about public service work? Because I think we can all admit that sometimes working with the public can be challenging, but there are definitely things that make it worth it.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. I think different rewarding moments, positive interactions go a long way. Goofy interactions also go a long way. Just being able to laugh with people or have like those human moments with other patrons.
Yes.
You know, or when someone has the realization that our services are free and goes, wow, that's really nice. It's like, yeah, isn't it? Cool.
Yeah, like, don't stress it, my guy.
Right?
Yeah.
And sharing a positive moment.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is important to do with, you know, people you're close to and people who are just coming into the library. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big one. And then also just kind of that realization, like, wow, you guys have so much, like, when it comes to programs and stuff. Like, they're just kind of like, wow, like, I didn't think that there was this much available at the library or whatever. It's just kind of like, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like we have it.
we're a third space with fun activities. We have plenty of material for all your needs.
Yeah.
And having people being engaged with that and seeing people get excited about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just having the different parts of the community come together for certain programs or events or anything like that. It's kind of cool just to see, like, yeah,
Breaking the
Coming
isolation.
together.
Yeah.
Right. Or like if people come out for programs and you're like, they're not even a regular here. Like,
yeah.
how'd they hear about us, right?
They don't even go here.
We're the opposite of Mean Girls. We're like, we see somebody who doesn't go here. We're like, oh my god, you guys, we're making strides. And it's like, if you're not a regular, I think it's like that's. I mean, I love our regulars, but not having a regular coming in, it's like, oh my god, we're doing something.
Right.
You get so much more excited with it.
Absolutely.
This next question is, what's the most common tech issue you guys have with patrons?
1, 2, 3.
Printing.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. You guys are on the dollar with that. It's a dollar because of
Can you guys elaborate a little bit on what issues of printing might look like? Because us as librarians absolutely understand, but for the common listener who might not know.
I mean, it's anywhere from a shipping label to a resume to a manual of how to work your TV. I mean, it's everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And I think, our system is not always the most user-friendly, but that's not a knock on the users or necessarily the system. It's just a matter of learning it, and we're there to help guide people through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
And I know with like our patrons, because we're constantly trying to evolve and trying to make the system better throughout the district. So I've noticed a little bit of frustration with the constant changing.
Yeah.
But I think once the patrons realize, like, oh, this isn't our favor, like this is to benefit us, to help us, like they kind of get it. But yeah, it's just that kind of working through it with them to be like, this is how you do it now. Sorry that we changed it again.
We've been going through lots of different systems for printing because we're trying to find the best system that's both equitable to taxpayer dollars in terms of our resources, but also gets people the prints they need.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've found kind of a middle ground with it at this point. It's a little bit more, we are still hitting the kinks with it and making sure that we as librarians are doing what we can to like make it easier, because I know people don't want to talk to us. I get it. I can be a little bit not social some days, and if they don't want to come up to us and they want to release it themselves, that's valid. And I think that's what we're trying to strive for, but at the same time we're also trying to make it equitable with people. And I think Glenwood, we've seen that. I don't know if you guys have seen that as well. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, printing's expensive.
Yes,
I mean, the toner and the ink and the paper. So, I mean, yeah, trying to find that happy medium of where it's going to work best.
Absolutely.
for sure. Yeah, or someone will come in and be like, oh, my printer's broken. And I'm like, you don't even need a printer. You can just
get rid of it. It's fine.
Yeah. Honey, what are you doing wasting your money? Get over here. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, moving on to some more fun questions. What's your personal go-to library item or resource that you guys would recommend?
My favorite is probably Libby or Hoopla. I tie in both, but that's one of our, or they're both our digital platforms for ebooks and e-audiobooks. An example I give is I reference my brother who lives in New York, and I'm like, you pay for Audible? What are you, a sucker?
Right?
I'm like, okay, you should really go to your library and get the free apps. So,
All right, yeah.
that's something I like. People usually laugh like 9 times out of 10. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our online resources are amazing. I love telling new patrons, like, these are all the free things you get. But I also really like that we offer park passes. I feel like that's one that's really not thought of normally.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, you can come in, get a park pass. I think it's good for a week.
Yes.
Don't tell my boss. But yeah, no, I think it's a great offering.
Yeah, it allows you to get into specifically Colorado state parks for free.
Yeah. So, I mean, no monument or anything like that,
But nonetheless, it's a great resource, saves you some money, and you also get some extra things like, I think there's like a bird guide and binoculars and some of the kits as well.
yeah, like activities to go along with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the parks passes because I was going to if one of you guys did.
Yeah, no, parks passes are I love them. I'm like, oh my God, you can go to the parks. It's a really big thing in the summer, because
Absolutely.
people, you don't want to spend money in the summer a lot of the time. And so what's one thing you can do? Use your library, get a park pass.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go.
Moving on to the next question. If you could magically add one service or resource to the library, what would it be?
Anything goes, really, anything, yeah.
I think we were talking about pets earlier.
I was literally going to say pet daycare.
Right? Pet daycare is good. I was thinking also
Yeah.
I know at shelters you can volunteer to walk dogs, and I don't know where we would store our dogs or cats.
I mean, I suggest we just have library dogs that you just rotate on the
Library
weekends.
pets.
Who takes home? In school.
Absolutely. I'm super down for that. We do have a Pause to Read program here in Glenwood. I'm not sure if you guys have something similar at your branches.
We have it in Carbondale.
Yes, amazing.
We don't at Parachute, not yet. I know.
Soon,
We
we
need
gotta get
it.
for
We
you
need
guys.
it.
Yeah, no, they're great. I love them, yeah.
Absolutely allows kids to practice their reading skills on dogs, but I'd love to have more animal-based programs.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
What would you do? I want to hear what you would say
what
too.
I would do?
Yeah.
Another resource. Honestly, I'm having a hard time thinking of it because I'm going through. I'm like, well, we have a resource for that. Oh, we have a resource for that.
Right, yeah.
Personally, I'm in college presently, and I find sometimes I have some issues getting a hold of academic documents. But honestly, through our interlibrary loans, there's not much we can't get a hold of.
Right, yeah.
But maybe slightly easier access to more academic scholarly documents, just because I'm a nerd. Even outside of schoolwork, I just like researching. What about you, Rebecca?
Me? Some libraries have this, but I really do like the Library of Things.
Oh, yeah.
Those are really great. I've seen them in so many libraries where you can check out a sewing machine, cooking pots, and I'm like,
Camping gear.
camping gear, yeah. I'm like, these are so many great resources. I'm like, because you don't want to spend $300 on a Cricut, and
Right.
yeah, just for this one project you want to do, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna check it over in the library. That's really resourceful in my opinion, especially with with how expensive things are nowadays. It's kind of you want to make sure that you can check out something and be like, is it going to be worth my bang and my buck? Nah.
Yeah.
And on that note, if you're listening from outside of Garfield County, there are plenty of library districts that do have Library of Things, so check out your local library. They might have something like that available.
Yeah.
Or tell your local library and they might get
Right.
it.
Yes, future directors. I'm just kidding. Okay, and then the next question. What's one thing you wish patrons knew about library staff? About everybody, all of us.
Libraries, yeah. This reminds me of the question about what they knew about libraries.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, I want to say that we're here to help again, but I don't
right,
wanna
or that we're
repeat
not
myself.
always reading.
Yeah, right.
So a little bit of a repeat.
Yeah, no, I feel you guys. I think one thing that I can for sure say, and I feel like a lot of people do get this, but some people have this misconception that we're dedicated 100% here. This is where our whole life is. I'm like, yes,
We live upstairs.
Yeah. Don't worry, let me go to my room real quick. Yeah. And I think it's hey, we're being just as human as you guys are, and it is. It's again going back. It's a learning process for us just as much as it is for them, and I think it's and it goes both ways of don't judge us, but also, hey, don't judge yourself because we're also going through the same situation as you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bouncing off of that, and something we've kind of talked about kind of by proxy, there's a large variety of librarians. We're not all a bunch of old ladies with little glasses and our little cardigans, even though we do love our
I
cardigans.
was going to say cardigans.
Right.
Cardigans are so nice. What are you talking about?
But that being said, one of the beauties of the library, and particularly a library district as large as ours, is we have such a variety of people who work here, from musicians and artists and writers and teachers and people who worked in food service and people who worked in journalism, amongst so much more. There really are people in the library that know what you're going through and know how to connect you with the resources you want, not just because we're here to help, but because we have varied lives.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a great thing about Garfield County is that they don't require a degree to, get into these positions.
Absolutely.
At least the associate and assistant. And so we have a lot of people from different walks of life and different, past experiences and whatever. So that really kind of, like you said, helps we have a person for everyone.
Yeah.
What is your favorite quiet time or busy time moment in the library? Do you have like one specific instance that comes to mind?
So in Parachute on Mondays, school is out. So Mondays get crazy, and I love it because we have, the kid programs in the morning, we have the teen programs in the afternoon. So it's just busy and loud and fun and all the things.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to add that in Carbondale, Wednesdays are early release days. So we have an elementary and middle school, and I guess technically a high school that are in walking distance. So you see all the kids coming from like blocks away through the windows, which is very exciting. And there's a little bit of bracing yourself, but also we have a program, and then the kids are on the computers having a good time. But there will, in between, be some kids just sitting quietly reading, and that is also very special to
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, why do you guys think libraries still matter in 2026?
Heavy question, we know.
Right? Yeah. It's like, these still matter, guys. My opinion.
I think because we have all the things, or we try to have all the things, we try to evolve with the times and provide not only programming, but just resources and material and stuff that, are currently needed. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%.
I'd add that, the cost of things, cost of living has gone up, but being one of the kind of final, actually free spaces and resources and communities is huge. And wanting people to be in there, doesn't matter who you are or what your situation is, it's come in and talk to us.
Yes, we are a friendly third space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And final question for you guys, which we ask of all of our guests. If your life was a book, what genre or book would it be?
This is a good question. Have you two answered this question?
Have we answered this question? I don't think we have. We've asked
Flip
this of our
it back
guests.
on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've never answered this. Yeah.
keep it PG. I don't know. I feel like I'm like, I'm a teen specialist, so I have to say I'm probably either like a YA dystopian book or like a nonfiction instructional book. I don't know.
I was going to say nonfiction, honestly, because, life is stranger than fiction.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Are you going to answer?
Oh, yeah, I guess. Okay, I'll say. I'd say mine is like an angsty, quirky. I hate the word quirky because I don't feel like I'm quirky. I'm just a little weird. So I'd say like a comedic book would be mine. Like, because I have my moments where it's like, down on my luck. But then at the same time, I'm like cracking jokes and screaming and being dumb. So I think that's the best. That's so weird that I've never thought about it. That question for us.
I probably have a better answer to this, but no.
We've never answered that.
I guess, so I'd say probably quirky humor and nonfiction.
Yeah, nonfiction.
Right?
Yeah. No, Sarah's very nonfiction.
I can
like,
see that.
A touch of fantasy in there. Yeah.
Nonfiction about like mythic lore.
Yes. Yes. That's a good one. Yeah.
I'm going to tap into the Mo Willems' Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus series.
Oh yeah.
Or, that's not a genre. But not just one of them.
Yeah.
It's a book. We all have pigeon shirts in Carbondale.
Yeah.
We love the pigeon. If people haven't read the pigeon books,
They're amazing.
they're pretty good. He always wants to do something that no one will let him do. Mm-hmm. And he
Don't eat a hot dog. That was my favorite one as a kid.
He goes a little cray-cray. So I just really like that guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about, were you saying nonfiction?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nonfiction, yeah.
1000%. I like because sometimes life is stranger than fiction.
Which one
Life
of the
is
Dewey
always-
Decimals, though?
Ooh.
Yeah, see? That's a little bit more specific of like, where do you fall in Dewey?
I feel like I'm somewhere in the 200 and 300s with my life.
I was just going to say, that's so funny. I was going to say that too.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay, I feel that, yeah. No, 2 and 300s is great place where to start reading. That's where I get my astrology stuff.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Right? That's where the astrology is. I don't want to be dumb here.
That is where he is.
Okay. That's one thing. Here's one thing that we could say. Librarians don't know the entire Dewey Decimal by memory.
We can look it up.
We can look it up. Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
we've perhaps gotten a bit lazy with our catalog computers. We don't have to go through the card catalog anymore.
Right. Yeah. We just sit there.
Spoiled. It's true.
Yeah. We're so spoiled. I like that. Yeah. But yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you both. Do you have anything to plug at your libraries before we go?
Yes, bring your teens to the Parachute branch for all of our teen programs. And Carbondale, of course.
Yes.
In Carbondale, yeah. We could use more teens. And summer reading starts on June 1st at all
Yes.
branches in our district.
Yes,
Whole
indeed.
district. And what is the theme this year? Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Woo. Yeah.
Unearthing.
Yes, unearth your stories.
And that's your story, guys.
Practice your dinosaur sounds and your dinosaur walks.
Yes,
Get ready to read.
absolutely.
Exciting. Yeah.
Right.